Okay, so you may or may not have seen the video that I shot last week, I think, maybe the week before. I don't even know what day it is, but if you've seen it, or if you haven't, it's up here. I'm talking about all the full frame lenses that I use for my Sony A7 III. So they have their view or their focal range, which is basically what they view, or if they're a zoom lens, how far they can zoom in and then view. Today I'm going to show you how you can maximize those lenses' focal range by zooming in twice as far, in fact more than twice as far, using two features available on the Sony A7 III and probably other Sony full frame cameras. Let's do it. So a huge benefit to shooting with the Sony A7 III and other Sony full-frame cameras is some of the amazing features that they do have on them, including clear image zoom and crop mode. So I'll show you all the lenses I have with their focal range, the maximum focal range, then by using crop mode, and then by using clear image zoom as well, and how much extra reach it gives you. And I'll show you some video from those as well, showing you there really isn't any quality loss, which is a really big thing. Before we jump right into this, you're gonna hear myself and probably other people that you watch on YouTube as well talk about APS-C mode, crop mode, Super 35 mode, and those are all the same thing. They're just called different things, but they're technically all exactly the same feature. If you've heard this feature called something else before, don't worry about it, it's all the same. There are two huge reasons, huge positives why you'd want to use this. Crop mode gives you 1.5 times additional zoom on top of your maximum focal length. Clear image zoom gives you an additional 1.5 times zoom on top of that 1.5 you already had. So you're getting more than double what your existing focal length is. So you can zoom in more than twice as far as you previously could. And the big one here, when you're shooting in 4K, there is next to no quality loss. If you look at the video side by side, you will not be able to see the difference here. So that is a really big deal. So let's get to the video of the lenses to show you the difference between shooting at its current maximum focal length and then those added zoom features that you're going to be getting. So first off, here is the Sony 1635 f4. Current maximum focal length is 35mm. With crop mode, we can bump that up to 52.5. Then, if you want to use clear image zoom on top of that, it goes to 78.75. Next up, the Sony 55mm f1.8. Obviously at its maximum focal length, or its only focal length because it's a prime lens, is 55mm. Using crop mode, you can bump that to 82.5. Using clear image zoom on top of that, you go up to a staggering 123.75mm. Now the Sony A7iii f1.8. So its maximum focal length is 85, as it's a prime again. With crop mode, you can go up to 127.5mm. And then using clear image zoom on top of that, 191.25, which is huge. And then finally, the big one, the Sony A7iii f4. Maximum focal length that it can go to is 200mm. If we use crop mode, that goes to 300mm. And then if you use clear image zoom as well, you get this up to a massive 450mm. That is a huge zoom. So as you can see with all of the video I just showed you, there is absolutely no quality loss when you're shooting in 4K. Extremely impressive and very, very useful. You're not going to be using this all the time, but if there's a situation that you're in and you really need that extra length, this is going to be a huge deal for you, and it's important that you know how to use it because it could maybe get you out of a tricky situation sometimes. You can more than double the length of all those focal ranges, and I'm going to talk about it again because it's so important. There's no quality loss. That is the biggest thing with this. If you were losing quality, you really wouldn't be using these features. There's just no point. Digital zoom isn't great, but this isn't digital zoom. This is Sony's magical feature, and there's no quality loss. No quality loss means you should be using this in situations where you need to. There's no reason why you wouldn't be using it. No quality loss. If you didn't know about this before, all of your lenses just became substantially more useful. You're welcome. Now a couple of quick notes for you. It doesn't really matter if you use Super 35 crop mode or clear image zoom mode first. So turn one on, then the other one. It doesn't matter, or vice versa. They're both the same, they both function the same way. Doing one first then the other doesn't make any difference. At the end of the day, it's all the same. So you can continue to use clear image zoom. You can zoom in and out while you're shooting, while you're recording in your camera. It's important to know that with crop mode, you cannot. You have to turn it on before you want to record, and if you want to go back to regular full frame mode, you have to stop recording, then go and turn it off, then start recording again. So clear image zoom works while you're live recording, and crop mode doesn't. And if you're watching this thinking, well, this is great, but I haven't the faintest clue how to do this, well, here's a quick tutorial for you. To make this quicker and easier, assign custom buttons on your A7 III to both crop mode and to clear image zoom as well. So to do that, go into tab 2, go down to custom key while shooting video. And in my case, I assigned custom button 2, which is the button just here, to APS-C 35 crop mode. And then I assigned custom button 3 to, which is this one just here, to the zoom. And the other thing that you're going to want to make sure that you have turned on is the zoom is set correctly so that clear image zoom is on. By standard out the box, it is not, so make sure it's on. So go to tab 2 again, and then down to screen 5, and then make sure your zoom setting, clear image zoom, is turned on. If you have it set to optical zoom only or digital zoom, those will not work the way that clear image zoom works, so make sure it's set to clear image zoom on. So now we have those two things turned on. Clear image zoom is turned on, and crop mode is assigned to C button 2. Clear image zoom is assigned to C button 3. You can use whatever settings you want for your custom buttons. I just like them on C2 and C3. So as we can see here, we just have a basic image set up. The exposure is not going to be great because I am filming the back of my camera here. We're just using this as an example. So we have the 85 on the front of the camera right here, and I'm going to use the C2 button to show you what 1.5 times zoom gives you when you use crop mode. So click on that, there's your 1.5 times zoom. And now if I want to use clear image zoom, I click C3, and you'll see down here that a little kind of slider appears. Now you have two options to control this. You can use, in my case, I have the shutter control set at the front here, that will work. You can also use the turn D-pad ring, whatever thing that's called. So there you go. So that is 1.5 times with clear image zoom on as well. If we were to then zoom back out, turn off crop mode, there's your 85. So once again, crop mode turned on, clear image zoom, zoom all the way in. There you go, that's how to use it. Now it's important to know that there are a few negatives with this. They're not huge deal breakers, but you should know about them. You can't use clear image zoom if you're shooting in 120 frames per second. And honestly, you wouldn't want to anyway, because in 1080p there is a little bit of a quality loss, quite substantial quality loss. So you don't want to use clear image zoom in 1080p anyway. So no real loss there. That being said, you can use 120 frames per second in crop mode still. Now I just talked about this, but if you are shooting in 1080p, you will see a definite quality loss using clear image zoom. There is no loss in crop mode, just in clear image zoom. So if you want to use both crop mode and clear image zoom together, make sure you shoot in 4K. If you're shooting photos and video isn't your thing, or if you want to shoot both, and you want to get some photos too, like me now and then. So it's important to note that if you are using crop mode, you don't get your full megapixel readout from your A7 III or other full frame camera. You're only going to get 10 megapixels. It's cropping that sensor, it's not using the whole thing, and you don't get the full quality, so you only get 10 megapixels. Honestly, unless you're blowing up that image anyway, or even if you're just putting it on Instagram, you don't need more than 10 megapixels anyway. And then here's the one that everyone kind of always asks and talks about. If you are using clear image zoom and crop mode, shooting in 4K, and you're on something like a prime lens, or even any lens to be honest, you are going to see a little bit of a difference in terms of your low light capabilities. Not a lot, but you are going to see a little bit of a difference, and then the bokeh as well that you're getting with that lens. Zooming in, you're not getting quite the same aperture. Now there is a lot of math involved with this, and I'm not going to bore you with it, but there are some great people on YouTube. Quick little search above will get you those videos. But yes, there is a little bit of a difference in terms of the bokeh and then the low light abilities. So you might start to see a little bit of noise at a higher ISO kind of before you would have previously seen that noise. Something to bear in mind, not a big deal. It's not a huge difference, but you should know about it. So if you want the absolute best image quality from your prime lens, you want the butteriest bokeh that you can possibly get, use your little 2 feet and walk forwards or walk back to get the proper view that you want to get. But otherwise, go ahead, use clear image zoom, use crop mode, get that extra zoom when you need it. So the negatives may mean you might not want to use it for certain situations, but if you are in a situation where you need that extra zoom, you need that extra reach, this can be a very useful trick to do, and it can really save you in situations where you need the extra zoom, where otherwise you can't really get there, you want to be able to get there, and you don't have the right lens. This is when you'd want to use crop mode and clear image zoom, shooting in 4K, and get a lens that you didn't have before, or get some zoom that you didn't have before. So I hope that helps you. I hope you got something from this. You may have already known about this, you may not have. You may have known about crop mode, I've talked about that before, but stacking it with clear image zoom as well just gives you so much extra reach that you should know about it. It's a useful trick to have in your tool bag, in your camera bag, not your tool bag. Thanks for watching today. If I taught you something, you know what to do. Click that little thumbs up button and subscribe if you're not part of my channel already. Welcome to all the new subscribers, quite a lot of you recently, thank you. Appreciate you all being here, appreciate you joining this channel. Lots more content coming soon, lots of videos on my little list. It's not a little list, it's a big list. And yeah, I'm getting a new gimbal soon actually. If you guys are interested in the Webuild Lab, I'm gonna put a little discount code down below for you. I've bought mine from a company that I deal with, that FieldWorld. You've seen me talk about their monitors before. So they are actually selling the Xeon Webuild Lab, which is the new gimbal I'm gonna get. If you're interested in that, 10% code, I'll put it down below. You can go and get yourself 10% off. I think it's 600 US, so it saves you 60 bucks. So if you want that, put the link down below. I think it's only good of pre-orders, and it comes out middle of November, so you gotta get on it soon. But if you want that, link down below. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.